Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to New Jersey Satellite Studio, where we show you the flavor of life here in the District of New Jersey.
Satellite Studio. Today we're talking about how what we eat and drink can help our moods and mental health. I had to say that one more time. So the foods that we eat and we can drink food, how those things can help boost our moods to feel good and also to protect our mental health, like things with memory. And I'm sure there are other things that I'm not the expert today, but we do have someone on today's show that's going to help us learn all about these things. So tossing over to you, Jeff.
All right, thanks, Leah. And I am super psyched for today's guest. He's just a really awesome guy in general. We love him. All right. Now there is a lot, a lot of information out there today about what diets are best for weight loss. You might have heard about some of them. You might be trying some, you might be on one or two of them, or you might be like me where you're attempting one and it's well, every once in a while you have to sneak a little bite of something else. However, managing your blood sugar, what diets put you in the best mood. And have you ever noticed that when you're hungry, you're a little less patient and happier than after you've eaten? You know, you ever gotten hangry? I have definitely been there. So you're not alone. So why is that? We want to ask these questions and we will find out the answers from today's guest, who is registered nurse Fernand Dunca. And once again, awesome guy all around. And for those of you in Team Live Chat, let us know what your questions are, and we can even ask them to Fernand. And he's just such a wealth of information. So thank you so much, and we will actually jump right into it. So, we've heard that saying, you are what you eat. And, you know, what kind of things should you put in your body? Is that candy bar every once in a while okay? Or should we just go for leafy greens? Like what should really do? And our resource person today is Fernand Dunca, who is a registered nurse and dad of Penelope, who is soon turning 6, right, Fernand? How's it going there, bro?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me today.
We
We're
are super
excited.
psyched. Oh,
I know. I was going to
yeah.
say, Jeff, if it's true, you are what you eat, then I would look like a giant cookie. But
Yeah.
hopefully that's not true. Try to throw in some greens sometimes, some edamame. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to learn how I can improve not being hangry. Like, what is the best thing I can reach for, or not having that sugar crash that I know everyone experiences. All right, so Vernon, let's get started. I think we got someone who's going to put up the slides for us. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so okay, let's go to the next slide.
All right. So today we're talking about nutrition and how it affects our mental health. So we just wanted to start out with some research that was done by the World Health Organization, which is an organization that's part of the United Nations. And they have delegates from different countries. And their ultimate goal is to help promote health and safety on a global scale. Um, and many of the members in the World Health Organization are doctors. So according to their studies, that depression is a leading cause of ill health and disability around the world. Now, there's continued research, and what they are finding is that there's evidence that the food we eat and the nutrition that we get can affect the way we think or affect our mood and our overall psychological health. So our next slide. Since we're talking about nutrition and mental health, let's talk about the brain for a little bit. Um, so the brain is a very, very complex organ, the most complex organ of our body. It's always on, and it has a lot of responsibilities. For example, our brain takes care of the way we move, our bodies. It also controls our breathing. It also controls our heartbeat. It controls our senses like sight, hearing, tasting. So you can imagine the big responsibility that our brain has. And because of that, the brain, out of all the organs in our body, uses the most energy. Therefore, our brain needs fuel. And where does that fuel come from? It comes from the food we eat. Um, so, simply put, depending on the kind of fuel or food that we eat, it will affect the way our brain works and can ultimately affect our mood. So that's just a little bit about our brain there. Next slide. So, talking about the fuel, the example that we have here is like a car. Whenever we go out to get gas, we have different options, right? We have regular gas. Uh, I don't know what the next one is, supreme gas maybe, or premium gas, and each one can affect our car over time. So usually the cheaper gas over time is not good for our engine. It causes like corrosion and deposits. So the same thing with food. Low quality food will eventually damage our bodies, whereas good quality or high quality food is better and healthier for our bodies. Um, the reason why uh, foods are considered high quality is because it has a lot of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants that kind of nourish and give us healthy brains or an overall good health. Um, so, we want to talk about a little bit about oxidative stress. So when we talk about stress, there's different kinds of stress. Um, we have mental stress, which we get from maybe trying to meet demands at work or as students, and we have expectations from our parents, so we get stressed that way. There's also a physical stress, um, by getting sick, and that gives us stress. And then when we talk about oxidative stress, it's stress at a cellular level. So when you hear oxidative stress, we're putting stress or we're damaging our cells. So when we look at the human body and we break it down to its simplest form, we're made of cells. Every part of our body is cells. So when we say oxidative stress, we're putting stress to our cells and we're causing actual physical damage.
So we can
And
have
then,
stress on our body level, but also on the cellular level. Is that right, Fernand?
correct, correct.
Wow.
So how do we get stress from in a cellular level? We have something called free radicals. You might have heard that um, somewhere online or on the news. Free radicals. Um, Too much free radicals in our body causes oxidative stress. And where do we get free radicals from? Actually, free radicals are naturally made from our body. It's just the byproduct of our cells working. So it's always in our bodies. And what controls free radicals in our body is also antioxidants. You might have heard something about antioxidants being healthy. They are, because it's what antioxidants are actually what neutralizes these free radicals. So if you think of it, our body is always in a constant state of trying to balance itself, right? So you have free radicals, and then you have the antioxidants trying to neutralize that. So um, our body is always trying to stay healthy in a state of balance. And when we have too much free radicals is when it gets dangerous. So how do we get free radicals in our body? There are multiple ways. UV exposure, right? Too much exposure to sunlight that introduces free radicals in our body. Another way is pollution, right? Pollution like chemicals or pesticides, that also introduces free radicals. Another thing is cigarette smoke, consumption of alcohol, and another thing which we'll talk about today is unhealthy food, processed foods, right? Fried foods, and unfortunately, a lot of the foods that we like to eat. These kind of things introduce free radicals. So too much free radicals leads to oxidative stress. Oxidative stress leads to cell damage, thus causing uh, damage to our bodies, depending on what cells are being damaged. So that includes our brain cells.
You know,
Um,
the visual that immediately came to me while you were describing this is like a battlefield, like two armies
yeah,
warring.
yeah. You can even look at the picture here. It's a picture. I just noticed it now. One side of the face there is all unhealthy food. The other side is healthy food.
I just saw the pizza. The pizza and the hamburger. All right. Oh, I'm
So
so
Yeah,
that's
I think I know which face is mine over there.
yeah, which side are you? Well, I'm stressed now thinking about it.
all right. So let's move forward. So, like we said, our we want to give our bodies the best fuel that we can, and unfortunately, too much sugar, for example, is not good for us either. It can harm our brains. Um, it can disrupt our body's regulation of insulin, uh, and also cause oxidative stress. So, sugar is a funny thing because it's very addictive. Who doesn't like sugar, right? Once our body or once our brain detects that we have sugar, it wants more and more. And you might have heard of something called getting a sugar high, or if we're up late, we want something sugary, something sweet to give us that boost of energy. And sugar is very popular for that, especially those energy drinks, coffee, maybe a piece of candy or chocolate. We get that sugar high. Um, or burst of energy. But unfortunately, with that burst of energy or that high of sugar also comes that sugar crash, right? It will go the opposite way. And what that does is actually gives us headaches. It also might make us sluggish and unfocused, or might distract us in our thinking. So too much sugar is not good. Um, Unfortunately, it's very addicting. So what happens over time with sugar is, the more sugar we eat, the more calories we gain. So obesity or overweight happens, and with being overweight is another topic that can introduce more disease like high blood pressure and diabetes. So too much sugar is not good. Um,
And I
and
think it's also connected with one of our previous show topics with where Anrello, who's also a nurse, was able to talk to us about fatty liver, right?
yes, yes. Um, so our body, um, I can't remember the mechanism, but our liver is a place of storage. So um, yeah, sugar can affect our liver, and definitely give us fatty liver. Um, so some of the studies that have also been shown is that too much sugar can worsen our symptoms of depression and mood disorders. So we try to stay away from too much sugar. Um, okay, moving
We do
forward.
try. We do try,
Mhm.
Ferdinand. I don't know if we succeed, but we do try to stay away from sugar.
It's hard. I mean, we grew up on sugar. It's everywhere. You can't avoid it.
Yeah, I feel like
And everything.
everything that you buy has some kind of form of sugar, especially like that fructose. So, Anrella, who's a nurse practitioner, was telling us to always check our ingredient boxes or
Yes.
the ingredient label on the boxes to
Right.
see, what's in there. And it's so funny because where I work, we have catering, and we always get these new products, like these coffee drinks, and everything on there has like five different forms of sugar. And it's like, why do you need
Right.
to have five different kinds of sugar? That, I mean, my the clients find it delicious, but I
Right.
but I can take, because I don't really eat a lot of the 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 super sugared up drinks.
Right.
So when it's like three different layers, or the was it the sugar substitutes, you can really taste like, this tastes fake. It's like when you eat a gluten free dessert, like definitely fake, tastes like paper.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, a lot of those, like, it's good to get familiar with how to read nutrition facts. Sugar, it's misleading because sugar has a lot of names. It just doesn't just say sugar. It's maltose, fructose, high fructose corn syrup, and then companies would advertise that it's healthy sugar like agave or honey, but when you break it all down, it's all sugar. So it could be misleading to a lot if you don't know how to read the nutrition facts and ingredients. So that's just an example of how we give ourselves sugar or too much sugar without knowing it. Um, let's go to our next slide. We'll start talking more about some of the food that can affect our mental health. And from the slide here, we are kind of comparing two diets here. One called the Mediterranean diet, which you might have heard of, and the traditional Western diet. Um, One of these is healthier than the other. I don't know if you guys can guess from the picture which one is healthier.
I know which one's closer to my actual diet.
what's funny is, I want to know, from us here, and also from our team live chat, which of these do you eat more of? Like, I can't even identify all of the stuff that's on the Mediterranean diet visual. It looks like salmon, some other fish, broccoli. What is that?
There's an
Pepper,
orange there. That looks familiar.
and there's a lemon. There's chicken. Um, but all that other green stuff, like, I don't know what those are. Do you?
Unfamiliar?
No, no, that's embarrassing, right? I don't obviously don't eat all of this, but guess we'll learn more about it.
Yeah. So Mediterranean diet got its name from the region from the Mediterranean, near the Mediterranean Sea, countries like France, Italy, Spain, Egypt, and Greece. So what their diet consists of there is mostly fruits and vegetables, fish, especially oil, high-fat fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, um, and they're very limited to like how do you call that? Like red meat and dairy, because a lot of red meat and dairy has a lot of saturated fat or unhealthy fat. So this Mediterranean diet comes from that region because that's what they eat the most, compared to the Western diet, which is very popular and tasty. A lot of fried foods come from here. Starbucks, high energy, high sugar drinks like Gatorade, Powerade, donuts, burgers, anything fried belongs to this category, um, which is unhealthy, unfortunately. So let's take a look at the Mediterranean diet here. Next slide. Uh, so what the studies show is that people who have eaten from the Mediterranean diet are 25 to 35% lower in having the risk of depression. Um, and this is because what the Mediterranean diet consists of, like we said earlier, is a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, unprocessed greens, fish, and seafood, and very limited to meats and dairies. So what they're finding with a lot of the people who live in the Mediterranean area is, they have a decreased heart disease because of this diet. Also, a better immune system. So, I mean, there are a lot of other diets, kind of similar. I don't know them too well, but there's also something called the Atlantic diet or paleo diet. You know, almost similar, just a couple of modifications, and so on and so forth. There's so many diets out there. Um, so with the Mediterranean diet, a lot of their foods are unprocessed. So you might hear about processed and unprocessed foods. Processed foods are foods that um, have undergone some kind of change. Most of the processed foods we eat come from like the factory. They add a lot of ingredients to maybe enhance the food or to preserve the shelf life. So a lot of these foods are, how do you say, affordable and readily available. So which is why a lot of us tend to go for processed foods. And on the other hand, with Mediterranean diet, a lot of the foods there are fresh, like fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. They don't have a long shelf life, so a lot of these foods might become a little more expensive. Uh,
I was just going to say that, Fernand. We buy things, especially when we know there's going to be bad weather, a
yeah,
storm, or like for my parents, when there's a sale, they just, fill up the pantry. I'm sure
yeah,
all of us can look in our cupboards and see, like, I always have, guilty pleasures, cans of corned beef,
right,
because that's like my favorite comfort. And also my favorite, like, stormy, rainy food.
right.
I'll saute it and I'll try to throw in some vegetables. But when I grew up, it was like onions, garlic, and potatoes. That's all it goes in the corned
Yeah,
beef.
that's
But
yeah,
it is a budgetary concern, But I think if we get creative with our budget, we can move stuff around and maybe splurge on some fresh fish. I
right.
personally don't like to prepare fresh fish, so I'll buy it somewhere that's already prepared. But
Well,
You mean you
that's
don't
why
want to
we
just
see.
grab it out of the river? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's why we see people these days like they start raising their own chickens just so they can have fresh eggs or start a vegetable garden so that they have access to fruits and vegetables. So
Yeah, shout out to Grace and Abe Evangelista who share their eggs with us sometimes.
yeah, that-
It's the best.
so the rule of thumb with food is the less ingredients there are in it, the healthier. So um, read the labels of, like, for example, you get a strawberry right from your garden. There's only one ingredient. It's a strawberry, but you get a canned strawberry from the supermarket shelf. There's a whole list of ingredients in there. So the less ingredients, the more healthier is usually the rule of thumb.
What I also noticed, Bernard, is if you grow your own strawberries and you compare it to the size of the strawberries you get at the grocery store, it's like ginormous, humongous version, and
Mhm.
then your strawberry is like this big.
Yeah,
My parents grow strawberries when it's in season, and it's so small, and it's not as red.
yeah,
It's like, is this what strawberries are supposed to look like
yeah,
without any fertilizer? Yeah.
yeah. It could be fertilizer. It could be the type of strawberry. I don't know if there's different
Yeah.
kinds of
Yeah.
strawberries.
I'm sure there are. All right.
All right. So our next slide, we just want to go over just a few nutrients here that kind of help with our mood. Um, this is only the tip of the iceberg here, and we're only going over three. There's so much information about nutrients. So nutrients are what we need to survive or to live. Um, some nutrients are um, made by our bodies, but essential nutrients we need to get by eating food. Some of the essential nutrients that we need are vitamins, minerals, proteins, fat. We need water. We need carbohydrates. These are all essential for us to stay alive.
good reminder, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. So we need these in our food. So we have folate, we have vitamin D, we have omega-3. So let's take a closer look at some of these nutrients. First thing here is folate. You might have heard about folate. has a couple names: folic acid, vitamin B9. Actually, vitamin B. Uh, there's so many different versions of vitamin B. So B9 is known as folate. So folate is important for red blood cell production. Helps to have healthy hair, skin, nails, and liver. And uh, what the study shows that um, if we increase our intake of folic acid, it helps lowers our risk of depression. So folate is important because it helps our cells to grow and divide. Like if we're not able to grow or divide our cells, we wouldn't exist. So we need folate. It's a must. It helps to make new cells. Um, and as far as our brain is concerned, folate helps to um, make neurotransmitters. If you heard the word neurotransmitters, they're like chemicals in our brain to help our brain to communicate. So folate is essential in making these neurotransmitters. Also reduces dementia, helps us with focus. Um, and some of the foods that we can find folate in, you can already see from the picture there are dark leafy green vegetables, some fruits, nuts, beans, and whole grains. And I believe you're also looking at a picture of the thing in the middle that's brown there. That's liver.
Thank you. That was my question. I was like, I wonder what that thing is. And I see eggs, and I think that's tofu next to the
Tofu,
eggs, right?
yes. Yes. So
Okay.
liver is actually uh, a good source of folic acid. It's,
I did not know that about liver. I was
I think
wondering
if
what
you
that was. Go
I
if you
ahead.
don't like
cook it
liver
first, right?
personally, but
If you
it has,
chop it up small enough.
Actually, yeah,
yeah.
sometimes you don't even notice that it's there in some of the dishes. But yeah,
Yeah, it depends. It depends.
What dish are you thinking, Jeff?
um, for example, if I'm not mistaken, it in one of the sauces that we use for lechon, isn't that actually a liver sauce? The brown sauce that goes with the
Yes,
lechon?
you're right. You're right. It
But I
does.
don't think that's the kind of liver we should we should
Yeah.
be consuming.
And you don't want to just eat the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's a healthy option. I don't think that's how we're supposed to be consuming liver, the lechon sauce. But no, you're right. You're right. I'm trying to think of also maybe Team Live Chat can share some of their favorite dishes that include liver. That's I eat liver. I usually eat chicken liver. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Yes.
I'm
that was the
actually a
easiest.
huge fan of the poultry livers.
Yeah, it's hard to for me. I haven't figured out how to cook it, so I always have to get it cooked. But whenever we go for dim sum, something like that, it's always
Mhm.
uh, on my list. I don't know if it's on Philip's list, but it's on my list. All right, are we ready for the next slide?
Yeah, interesting. All right, moving forward. Next one is vitamin D. Uh, vitamin D is important for the health of our muscles, our immune system, and everybody knows that, or many people know that vitamin D is good for our bones and strong teeth. There's also studies that show that a deficiency or not having too much vitamin D can lead to depression. So we need vitamin D. It helps our muscles grow. It helps our muscles to contract, meaning to move. We won't be able to move properly without vitamin D. And so if we don't have enough vitamin D, some of the things that we can experience is fatigue, muscle weakness, which also lead to like poor concentration and mood fluctuations. A feeling of happiness, a feeling of sadness or depression. Um, Another thing that they're starting to find in their studies is something called seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, they call it. Something that people experience at the same time of the year, usually during winter time or late fall. So what happens is we don't get too much exposure to sunlight during that time because the days are shorter and we're not outside as much because of the cold weather. So what happens is our vitamin D uh, goes down, and that kind of plays a role in in our mood of feeling depressed or sad. Um, so vitamin D is important, and some of the ways that we can get vitamin D are eating fatty fish like salmon, tuna. Also, if we don't like fish, we can go to the get vitamin D as a supplement over the counter, right, as a pill form to supplement our vitamin D. And another easy way of getting vitamin D is just getting sun exposure. If you know during winter months, if you're not outside, at least you can stand by the window, try to get some exposure, at least 30 minutes twice a week. Should be able to help us get our vitamin D. Okay, and I think our last nutrient here is omega-3. It's a very another popular nutrient that we might have heard of that's good for our health. It's a fatty acid, can improve our heart health as well as reduce inflammation. Um, Also helpful in the treatment of depression. So when it comes to omega-3, it's the basic building block of our brain cells. So it's very helpful, very important for our brains. 60% of our brains is made of fat. So our brain cells, also known as neurons, right? It needs fat to work properly. So that's where omega-3 comes in. It helps keep the integrity of our brain cells. It protects our brain cells and preserves it. Um, so that's why we need omega-3. Some of the omega sources of omega-3 again come from oily fish like mackerel, salmon, trout, anchovies, sardines. Um, Many of these things I don't eat myself, maybe just salmon. Um, you can also get omega-3 from walnuts, flax, which is a flaxseed. You might have heard of flaxseed, olive oil, fresh basil, and again, dark leafy vegetables. So you can see from the slides, there's kind of a trend in food, uh, dark leafy vegetables, nuts, seeds. All of this comes from Mediterranean diet, which is why Mediterranean diet is such a healthy choice of food because it has all the nutrients that we need to keep healthy and to survive. Omega-3 also helps. It's when it comes to fat, there's saturated fat, unsaturated fat, healthy fat, unhealthy fat. Omega-3 is considered the healthy fat, so which helps lowers cholesterol, lowers blood pressure. If we have low blood pressure and low cholesterol, it keeps us away from heart disease. So omega-3 has so much to offer. You might have heard of omega-3 helping with our joints. It relieves inflammation in our joints, which it does. So you can also get omega-3 as a pill form. So it's not very hard to get these nutrients. And I think that covers the nutrients that we were going to talk about today. Let's see. Any other?
I think this is our last slide, Fernand.
Yeah, last slide here. So there's always help out there. We're not alone, and when it comes to making a decision about our health, if you feel like you're not in good health, you feel like something's off, um, you can always approach your primary care physician, right? They are trained professionals. Uh, they can kind of what do you say, analyze us and see where we need to go from there. If we need a dietitian and a nutritionist to help us, they can point us in the right direction there. So don't be afraid to reach out to the doctors out there. There's so much professional help that we can get, especially when it comes to physical health and our mental health.
All
And yeah,
right.
stay away from too much sugar.
Yeah, I think that's it for our slideshow. So we can stop sharing. And actually, Fernand, we wanted to ask you two follow-up questions
Sure.
regarding. So we talked about sugar. So how much sugar is enough sugar? I know, and Rella, when she was on, talked about sugar intake. So, what's the recommended like serving size?
Sugar's never enough. I always want sugar. No. Yeah, no,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
it's tough. I mean, the American Heart Association has their recommendations, which we try to stick to because they've done the studies. So, according to the American Heart Association, for women, the appropriate amount of sugar per day is about 6 tablespoons or teaspoons. I'm sorry,
I
which
got
is
excited
equal.
for a second.
So
Yeah, yeah,
six of these then,
sorry,
huh?
yeah.
So imagine how much more, and imagine how much a
Wait,
lot
is
of
that
us
six
eat.
teaspoons, Jeff?
I think this is about a little bit more than a teaspoon. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so that equal to 25 grams. So if you're reading the nutrition facts, keep it under 25 grams of sugar for females. For males or men, the amount is 9 teaspoons, which is 36 grams of sugar per day. So those are uh, recommended by the American Heart Association.
All right. And one other thing is, we saw the Mediterranean diet. I mean, how quickly should we, or can we change our diet? Should we do it straight away? Do you have any warnings, any tips?
I mean, if it's concerning our health, the best time is now. Actually, you want to really examine the way you eat, examine the way you feel, and make a decision now before it's too late. The more you wait, the more damage we might cause to our bodies. But yeah, as far as when, now is the best time. And as far as you know, how we can do that, the best and safest way, I would say, is to really consult your primary care doctor. They're the professionals there, and since everyone is so different, right? Everyone's on a different level of health. Everyone eats certain ways already, and other people might have pre-existing conditions or might be on different kind of medications that interact. So it's not the same for everyone. So the best and safest option is to really consult your primary care doctor.
All right. I think we're ready to move on to our next segment. We only have a few minutes left. If our tech's ready, can we have our shout out bumper? If he's not, then we're just gonna.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy birthday.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
I have to shout out.
Mom, dad, best friend. Oh, we heard the bumper, but we didn't see it. It's okay. We're gonna start off with actually our guest today, Fernand. Do you have any shout outs?
Yes, since this is my first time on INC Radio, I just want to give out a shout out to you guys, INC Radio. Thank you for having me. The District of New Jersey, where I'm from. Thank you so much for your support. My locale, the locale of Wrightstown. I don't know how many of them are watching right now, but thank you. I love you guys. Also to my wife Maan and my daughter Penelope, who may or might not be watching. I gave them the link. Love you guys. Also, thank you so much. This was fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernand. We love having you. We've already gotten like 10 invitations from you and other things we can talk about with you. So hopefully we'll see you soon. What about you, Jeff? You got any shout outs?
Of course, got to greet my home locale of Bergen, and have to greet someone here, and have some birthdays. So to my cousins, I'm always confused what to call them, like my cousin's kid. But anyway, yeah, to Nathan Berberabe. Also, happy birthday to Bergen's own Mark David, and also to Micronesia's Michael De Jesus. Happy birthday.
All right. My happy birthday goes to Mia Torno. She just turned 1 just last week. And we're going to read a few comments and then move on to our CFO in action. So, from today's live chat, Mon Fernandez, try as much as possible to prepare your own meals. It's tough when we always order food outside. From Brian Dagadat, avoid the stems, the leaves, high in oxalates. Eat the fruit of the plant, but not the plant itself. I have to read that one again later. And Maricel Dagadat says, I agree, Maan, it's hard to stay healthy when you always eat out. And then Brian says he eats raw liver. I don't know if I could eat it raw. That's I had to practice that one. everyone can see even Ferdinand's reaction. Yeah, that he eats it raw. I don't know if I can eat that raw. And Marisol says she knows it's very good, but she can't eat it. So they live together. So I mean, they're married to each other. So I don't know how that works if Marisol has to turn away when Brian eats liver. And then also from one of our nurses that we know, I think she's a nurse or medical professional, Celia Bautista says everything should be in moderation. So thank you for your comments, and we're looking forward to more topics like this. But we're almost out of time, so we're gonna go to our CFO in action video.
CFO in action.
The BINY members in the District of New Jersey eagerly convened for their monthly meeting last weekend. This month's focus is on communication, a vital cornerstone of the Church's strength and unity. The meeting discussed the types of communication, how to effectively communicate, and how it can help the brethren and the Church. The youth members left the meeting with hearts and minds renewed and equipped with new knowledge on how effective communication can contribute to the Church's mission and how it aligns to God's teachings. The Christian Medical, Dental, and Paramedical Society organization in the District of New Jersey conducted a WebEx seminar for the brethren to participate in and talked about the most important cancer screenings. The seminar emphasized the importance of preventative measures, including regular cancer screenings, to safeguard the health of the brethren. Through educational initiatives like this, the brethren are empowered with the knowledge and the resources needed to prioritize their health and detect potential health concerns early, reflecting the Church's unwavering commitment to promoting physical well-being alongside spiritual nourishment. Led by District Minister Brother Alex M. Reyes, the District of New Jersey promises to always unite with all the endeavors of the Christian family organizations. And this was our CFO in action the last week. From the District of New Jersey, this is Sister Marisol Dagaton. More on CFO in action next week. See ya!
All right, thank you for that, Marisol. We have one activity we want to remind everyone of, and it's the picnic and socializing in Wrightstown this Monday at 11 a.m. That'll be at the Wrightstown Chapel premises. So thank you again for everyone who tuned into today's show. Thank you, Fernand, for sharing so much knowledge with us. We also want to thank our church administration for their continuous support in INCRadio and allowing us to have this show so we can stay connected and learn together. We thank our beloved executive minister, Brother Eduardo Manalo, and our CFO coordinator, Brother Angelo Manalo. So before we say goodbye, we again thank everyone for participating, viewing today's show. We hope today's topic has given you some ideas on how to take better care of yourself and your loved ones so we can always be in good moods and feel good as well. All right, I'm looking at Jeff, and I don't know if he's actually it looks like spinach, but thank you again, and we'll see you on the next episode of INC Radio New Jersey Satellite Studio. Take care, everyone.